Classroom climate: dark and dreary or light and cheery. The choice is up to you as a teacher. The classroom really should be a place where students love to learn and teachers love to teach. But everyone who's been a classroom teacher knows not every day is roses and rainbows. But this all depends on the climate of your classroom. According to the article Classroom Climate by the Encyclopedia of School Psychology, classroom climate sometimes is referred to as the learning environment, as well as by the terms such as atmosphere, ambiance, ecology, milieu. The impact of classroom climate on students and staff can be beneficial for or a barrier to learning. Here's my definition of classroom climate. The classroom climate is made up of teachers and students who earn and give respect to each other. It is a place where teachers model behaviors like self-discipline and empathy, and their students learn social skills, moral values, and virtues that they use in the present classroom and in the future world. Teachers diligently plan rules, procedures, and routines that encourage students to practice self-efficacy and access materials to further their own learning. This room is a place that respects personal space, time, and does not allow bullying, but expects resiliency in difficult times. The teacher will use professional discretion to practice dominance and cooperation with their students. It will be a lovely place to spend your day. What research says about classroom climate. Key concepts. Contrary to popular belief, classroom climate is based on both the teacher and student's morals and principles, customs, ideas, rituals, and backgrounds. The classroom climate is influenced by school culture. If something is accepted by school culture, it is likely that students will expect the same in your classroom, unless you set a directive otherwise. Classroom climate can range from hostile to supportive and fluctuate daily. Students can have a very different experience in other classrooms from day to day, or even in the same classroom at different times of the year. Classroom climate has the greatest influence on classroom behavior and learning. This bullet alone shows the immense importance of a positive classroom environment. There are 3 dimensions of the classroom climate: relationships between teachers and students, as well as students in their environment. The personal development of the students and how their concept of self-enhancement occurs, as well as the system maintenance and change, which includes the physical environment and its organization, clear expectations, rules, and procedures, as well as how responsive the environment is to the changes within it. Classroom climate should always be a major priority on every teacher's to-do list. Good news. Proactive approaches result in positive climates. A positive classroom climate must be established by the teacher and upheld by the students because it enhances the quality of the classroom experience for both the teachers and the students. Teacher burnout and student disengagement are 2 major issues facing the school system today. A positive climate allows time for a curriculum that addresses academic, social, and emotional learning in order to produce a more well-rounded student who is ready for the real world, not just a state test. A positive classroom climate empowers teachers to work with various kinds of learners. I want to emphasize the empowers teachers part because it gives teachers the time and concentration to address the many needs of their classroom. It also promotes intrinsic motivation for students, which will long outlast extrinsically motivating factors. Here's a possible approach for a very difficult concept. Humor. I found an article entitled "The Role of Humor in Enhancing the Classroom Climate." This is a proactive way to approach the difficult task of developing a positive classroom climate for your students and for yourself. Key concepts regarding the use of humor in the classroom. It can be used to increase student engagement and positively affect the learning process. This can be an easy way to make your classroom more fun for you and your students, and it requires little prep work. It enables knowledge retention, learning speed, and increases problem-solving abilities. Problem solving is a major life skill that students must learn in the classroom to be able to succeed in life. Humor puts teachers and students at ease and makes teaching and learning more enjoyable. Remember the quote earlier? The classroom should be a place where students love to learn and teachers love to teach. Humor can help accomplish this. Humor is a way to enrich your classroom climate. There's a few things that humor should and should not do. Humor should engage students in the context that you are teaching. It should relieve anxiety, especially in stressful situations like tests and presentations. It should nurture rapport between students and teachers. We know that relationships are the key to student success. Humor should have a humanizing effect on the student's perception of the teacher. Teachers should play a positive role in students' lives and be seen as an obtainable role model. There are some things that humor should never, ever do. Humor should not degrade or hurt students. This is absolutely and never acceptable. It should not be tacky. If you wouldn't say it to your grandmother, you probably shouldn't say it to your students. It should not be at another person's expense. One exception, your own. It's okay to allow students to see that you can laugh at your own mistakes, or even see a mistake and move on from it. There's nothing wrong with that. Humor should not be without purpose. It should always be related to the content that you are teaching. The elephant in the classroom. Once upon a time, in a not-so-imaginary world, there was a student intern who was describing the difficulty of teaching. It wasn't everything that she thought it would be. A lot of teachers can relate to this. She said that it was like there was an elephant in the classroom all the time, and that was her classroom management. It was always hanging above her head. It was distracting her about what she should be doing. It was distracting the students when they weren't doing what they were supposed to. It's true. Classroom management can be like a giant elephant. It can be a distractor to the students and to yourself. It prevents your students from learning and your teachers from teaching. Don't let that elephant in your classroom. Classroom climate is directly affected by classroom management. There was a research study conducted at the Coastal Carolina University that studied 34 teachers and 588 students in regards to the impact of misbehavior on the classroom climate. They conducted 6 unannounced classroom visits for a total of 240 minutes of observation time for each teacher. The purpose was to see the differences between the instructional and non-instructional interactions between students and teachers. Studies included teachers' ability to prevent behavior problems or attend to them during instructional time, the total number of on-task students at a given time, and teachers' strategies to engage students when they were off task. Their study found that teachers who were effective at classroom management were alert and redirected off-task behaviors immediately. They avoided retreating, which means when a student would engage in misbehavior and the teacher would try to correct it, the teacher would back away in frustration and allow the student to have control of the class. So they avoided retreating, and they used appropriate praise and rewards. And they were also well aware of pacing and keeping their students engaged at all times. They classified the teachers into 2 different categories: strong teachers and needs improvement teachers. Strong teachers have a higher rate of interactions with their students, which resulted in higher rates of students on task. Needs improvement teachers followed a vicious cycle of behaviors. First, students would misbehave. Then, the teacher would try to control the student behavior. The student would continue to misbehave. The teacher ended up retreating and then giving up control of their classroom, which resulted in students taking the control. This was obviously not enjoyable or constructive for the teacher or for the learning process. Be the change you want to see in your classroom. Here's a little food for thought. Classrooms are complex societies where students and teachers live and interact with each other. Teachers are the leaders of these societies, and the way they exercise leadership abilities greatly affect the quality of interactions that take place between and among the students themselves. These interactions, both social and instructional, have a great impact on the academic and social growth of the students assigned to a given teacher's classroom. This is from the article, The Elephant in the Classroom. It's your choice. Don't let a big, distracting elephant disrupt your classroom climate. With time, it will become a smaller issue that will walk beside you to help create a positive classroom environment for you and your students. Additional resources bibliography. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions about this presentation or would like additional information. There's so many good resources out there, including videos, articles, and even face-to-face interactions with people to help you learn more about classroom climate. But no doubt it is invaluable, and it can be very destructive to your teaching if you do not have a positive classroom climate.